Loneliness, a taboo subject that many do not want to talk about. Hello again. We're going to talk about loneliness in the older adult and how we can combat loneliness in the older adults within our community. My name is Ottercrans and I am a nursing student in the BSN program at Indiana State University. This is the fourth video in my series to address older adult population in relation to the Healthy People 2020 goal of improving health, function, and the well-being of older adults. So let's get to it. First, let's take a look at a few learning objectives that I have set forth to help guide our learning. I hope that we can identify prevalence of loneliness in the older adult by the end of this video, identify causes of the loneliness in the older adult, understand the importance of combating loneliness in the older adult, identify possible interventions to help combat loneliness, and provide resources to assist the older adult and their community to increase socialization and decrease loneliness. Before we dive in, let's see what we already know. You can go ahead and pause this video to take a short 10-question pretest by copying the link below in the description. As always, the answers are down at the bottom of the screen so you can check. All right, so how'd you do? Did you get most of them correct? Great job. Did you want to be better than what you had done? No problem. Let's go ahead and dive in and see what we can learn. Let's first define loneliness. And what a better way to define loneliness than looking at the dictionary. Merriam-Webster defines loneliness as being without company and cut off from others. So, how prevalent is loneliness in the older adult in our community? According to the Health Resource and Service Administration, 1 in 5 older adults experience loneliness and report social isolation to some degree. So, since we just learned that our older adults in our community, 1 in 5 of them can be feeling loneliness, what are some of the possible causes that cause it? Loneliness can be caused by multiple factors and be very individualized for each older adult. Banderi and al. Speak to some of the reasons older adults experience loneliness. Some of these are an increase in many losses as they age, such as a loss of a spouse, decline in their own health, frequent medical visits, a decrease in the function, and all of these can keep older adults isolated in their homes. Also, adult children and growing grandchildren may impact the older adult by their absence in the home. So now that we've looked at some causes for loneliness, what are some impacts of loneliness on the older adult? You may be thinking, a little loneliness never killed anybody, but this is where you're very wrong. Besides the negative impact on the older adult's emotional and cognitive well-being, loneliness has physiological impacts as well. These are easier to see than the psychological impact that loneliness has on the older adults in our communities. According to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, social isolation and loneliness can cause close to the same frequency of premature death as smoking, obesity, and physical inactivity. One thing that I found interesting here is loneliness is more dangerous than obesity and as damaging to health in an older adult as smoking 15 cigarettes a day. Ooh, that's a lot of cigarettes and a lot of bad effects on health. So now that we know how bad loneliness can impact the older adults in our community, let's look at some ways that the older adult can combat the loneliness. They could adopt a pet, interact with the neighbors, be involved in the seniors group, volunteer, and talk with their doctor. So, what are some ways that the community can help combat loneliness in the older adults? The community can help provide resources for transport services, engage the older adult in community functions, provide rest areas for older adults in community parks and events, and make accessibility a priority. Encourage peer interaction by creating activities geared towards the older adult. Create community volunteer groups that can provide assistance with small chores and provide socialization as well. And provide older adult resources regarding older adult services in the libraries and senior centers. So now that we've looked at some ways that the older adult can help combat loneliness and the community can help combat loneliness in the older adult, let's go ahead and look at some agencies that are very helpful in providing resources and information on combating loneliness in the older adult. One that you may have heard of that's very frequent is the AARP, that's the American Association of Retired Persons. Center for Disease Control has some great information. The National Council on Aging is a great place for older adults to gain information and resources on combating loneliness. An elder care locator can be helpful with providing resources. And the Area Agencies on Aging also provides great resources to help combat loneliness in the older adult. All right, you've done it. We've come to the end. Let's see what we've gained in knowledge in regards to loneliness and the older adult. Let's go ahead and take a post-test. Go ahead and pause this video and copy the link in the description below. So how'd you do? Was it better? Did you gain knowledge? The answers are below. Hopefully you saw that and checked your answers. Thank you for spending some time today learning about loneliness and the impact it can have on the older adult in our communities. You can click here or copy the link below to see a brochure that goes with this presentation. Have a pleasant rest of your day.